Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Let's go Mets. Yeah.
You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show till Mets do us part. John from Brooklyn, Gibby reps NJ. With the other team, I don't care what your friends say. Mets fans, we focus like a sensei. Listen to the podcast Monday, Wednesday. Made a couple bad plays, but we still won. Character, yup, we're gonna build some. Are you gonna check the pod? Is real fun. Just like Mookie, I will sign. So invest with your heart. Orange and blue till Mets do us part. Spring training, oh yes, it's the start. City Field gritty till Mets do us part. Hit home runs and knock it out the park. Big Apple till Mets do us part. You gotta believe and invest with your heart. Listen to the show.
Available now on all streaming platforms. If you love the New York Mets, check out Til Mets Do Us Part. Enough rapping. Let's get to yapping.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Til Mets Do Us Part. We are live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single week. Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Let's call it ish. John Saponaro out in North Hollywood, California, and that means that my co-host Matt Ibanez holding things down back in New Jersey. Ibby, lot to get to. There are less substantive things than we had about 2 weeks ago at this time, of course, when the Mets made a flurry of moves, but there is speculation. There is probably a roster spot or two up for grabs. There's a little bit of rumor, and certainly there is the countdown to spring training. Pitchers and catchers officially report soon. Games are going to be in about 2 weeks. A lot of players already down in Port St. Lucie. So even though this is kind of a weird time of year, everybody can start to feel it now. And those of you back on the East Coast where the weather is bad, I know this is the time where I'm usually pining for baseball. So before we get into that, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, John. And hey, be easy on the weather. It's no longer 7 degrees when I wake up, and the fact that it's 36 degrees today, it feels like 86. I'm walking around with no jacket on because I was sweating. But all in all, I am very excited that we're seeing players down in Port St. Lucie. Pitchers and catchers is around the corner. You're seeing a lot of faces there already. We're 17 days away from games being played. Like it's a fun time, and like you said, we're kind of in that middle area right now where it's like, not much is going on. We're seeing some guys throw the ball around. That's exciting, but we're kind of still waiting. Is there anything left in the tank when it comes to David Stearns and making moves? And there are some things that we are going to cover today that are still very interesting, and we can see if anything actually becomes of it. But it's Wednesday. The red light's on. The chat's filling up. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun indeed. Speaking of 86 degrees, it's 85 degrees right now where I live. It's beautiful. It's sunny. It's warm.
Everybody boo John in the comments, please. Everyone
I don't
just
care. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. That's to borrow a line from the immortal Rick Sanchez. Lazy Mary saying, John, what the fuck is that hat, bro? It's great, is what it is. It's a great hat. It's a great hat. That I got at a vintage store.
Coming back from that title. He wants that crown. He's coming back for it.
I do want to say this. I did buy this hat at a vintage store in, I think the place, let me see if you can guess. This was in the city. If you guess the state, I'll give it to you. I bought this at a vintage store in the state that I would say is like the most opposite of Hawaii you could possibly be.
South Dakota.
That's good. That's close. No,
close?
Okay. You know what? People sometimes give me pushback when I say pound for pound. I think this is the worst state in America. And I bought this hat in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh my God, you're hating on J-Ram. You got a lot of nerve.
I do not like Ohio. Ohio is like the lamest state It's got nothing, man. It's got nothing. Like, yeah, okay, I feel you guys. I love the guesses. Mike Levert, Montana's beautiful though. Wyoming, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is close. Oklahoma is close, man. I gotta be honest. That's a good one. But yeah, I don't know. Hat's not worse than the futon.
I think he's saying the
GSD
futon.
talking about
what's behind you. Yeah.
I mean, it's a full couch. I'm an adult. I don't know what futon. It's a full couch with a couch cover on it because I got pets. I don't know what kind of futon we're doing. Anyway, let's shout out the rest of the folks in the chat. Armand is amazing is here. Lazy Mary coming for the crown, like you said. Ethan KL, Jeff Cohen, the aforementioned Mike Loverti in the house. Brad is here. Pantrice, dying for some spring training games. Yes. Please give me some baseball. I want to watch. I want to react. Even if the games don't count. KP Klink is here. I think I said Jeff Cohen, but if not, Jeff Cohen is here as well. A lot of familiar faces. Tony HVAC. Chrissy is here in the house. We have Hackabus. Keith Blacknick, the media goon. We have Joe DeMeo. We have GSD, who I mentioned already with the comment, hating on my couch. We have Rosie K. We have Gab with one of her signature greetings, usually either hey hoes or hey sluts. There we go. Opt in for the alliteration this week. Who else is here? I think. Oh, Joshua likes graham crackers, closing it out on the roll call. Just under 100 folks with us here right now. I'm sure that number will continue to grow. Cleveland, home of the nothing burger. Is that just in reaction to just like, because that's my feeling, Ibby. I don't know if you've ever been to Cleveland.
I never have. No,
okay.
I have not. No.
Just to bring the conversation full circle. Like Ohio is just like, all right, it's here. It's cool, I guess. It's just, it just exists. And it's not quite, it's not quite East Coast. Like it has none of the vibes of like Philly or Boston or New York. And then it's not real. It's not Chicago. I don't know. Like it's not Illinois. It's not Indianapolis. It's not Indiana. Like it's just there. I feel like you could absorb Ohio into another state and like we'd be good. We wouldn't miss it. We wouldn't miss it. So I don't know. People disagree. Ohio has Joe Burrow. What do you mean?
For now, we'll see if he stays. Yeah.
For now, you know what? Cincinnati is cool, Gab. I will give you that. Cincinnati is cool. I like Cincinnati better than I like Cleveland, but Cincinnati is basically Kentucky. It's like right on the border. The airport's in Kentucky. Anyway, I'm done with this. Okay. Ibby, while we get into the conversation with our New York Mets, I think the first thing we should mention right off the top is, of course, it is confirmed now. Congratulations. We spent a little bit of the show a couple weeks ago on this, but Carlos Beltran going into the Hall of Fame now officially with a Mets cap on his head. I think we all agree that this is where he had, kind of the most transformative moments of his career. I think as Mets fans, most of us wanted it to be this way. I think there were a few outliers who didn't for some reason, but he joins just Tom Seaver and Mike Piazza as the only two people in Cooperstown with a Mets logo on his cap. Very well deserved. And Carlos Beltran will no doubt have his number retired at some point this season. And that means Tyrone Taylor better learn to speak different number, buddy, because he's going to have to change that number at some point. But I know you're a big Beltran guy. I'm a big Beltran guy. Kudos to him.
It's awesome. I mean, I had a feeling that this was always going to be the move. It made the most sense to me. I know some people feel otherwise. A lot of people thought it would be no logo. But I always felt that his best years were with New York. He mentioned in his message on his Instagram saying how it's the place where he grew the most, learned a lot about himself. And like I said last week, I won't rehash it, or a couple weeks ago, I won't rehash it too much, but just I could sense that this man went through a bunch when it came to being on this team and all that was asked of him and how it was almost unreal expectations and how he still delivered. I believe he was a near or just above 30 WAR player for us during his tenure here. and it's well deserved. I'm so pumped that his number will most likely be retired. And I said when we got Tyrone Taylor, I said he better not have the number 15, and he wore the number 15. And I was joking around saying, like, you better change that goddamn number because that number should not be in circulation. I've always thought it should be retired. And rumors are coming out that it might potentially be, a day this year, which would be awesome. Great time to get out to the park, and love it. Congratulations to Beltran. Well deserved. And of course, it's great to see another Met in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think they're going to have to do it. I know they were talking about, doing some stuff for the 40th anniversary of the 86 team. And there's another one that's escaping me at the moment, like things that, they already have these big events planned. And it would be a little crowded in the calendar, but you know what, Ibby, that's the precedent they set, right? Like they did it for Mike Piazza when Mike Piazza got into the Hall of Fame and went in as a Met. They did it that same season. I know they've retired numbers since, and, none of those were tied to people going into the Hall of Fame or whatever it was. But for Beltran, they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to find a way to make it work. And you know what? I don't really care about the people who are doing the scheduling of the Mets special events, because Beltran, like you said, deserves it. And it would be oddly fitting. Wouldn't it be oddly befitting of Carlos Beltran's career to not have the Hall of Fame, like the number retirement ceremony this year, and have to wait till next year?
If this was the Wilpons, like it would totally be par for the course for everything that went on with him. Like I believe that he wouldn't even have the number retired even if he went into the Hall as a Met, if the Wilpons were still here. But like we see that everything has been done properly with paying homage to ones that have done great for this team and representing this franchise. And I think that the Cohens will do the right thing here, and it'll get done this year at some point.
I completely agree. Joe DeMeo saying we can just do it in 2027. It's okay. LOL. Whether it's 26 or 27, it's going up. I do agree. I just think because, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, Ibby, but just to fully flesh out my point, like we all know the utter bullshit that Carlos Beltran has had to deal with. Just forget about this stuff. I don't want to hear about the nonsense with the Astros and being scapegoated there. I'm not talking about that. I just mean what he dealt with coming to the Mets from the fan base, the scrutiny that he was under, what Fred and Jeff Wilpon put him through. It just seems like, you know what? If there's a wrong to right, let's just get this out of the way right away. If it was any other player, I would be totally in on what DeMeo's saying. Like, yeah, you know what? Like, let it happen. It's going to happen. It's not a huge deal. But like, Beltran just feels so inherently disrespected by the Mets previous ownership and by a lot of the Mets fans. I just want it over, done with. I want him, because the reason why the stuff with the Astros is immaterial to me is because baseball already made him suffer for the stuff with the Astros. He lost his job managing the Mets for it, and then they made him wait longer than he ever should have to get into the Hall of Fame. That part of it is done. It's over. Any kind of punishments that they could levy, whether officially or unofficially, have happened. So I don't care about that anymore. There are way worse people than Carlos Beltran in the Hall of Fame. And I don't want to open up the dialogue for that, but the guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame now. He's wearing a Mets hat, and Mets fans still somehow find reasons to not celebrate it. And this is why we don't deserve nice things. This is why I get mad when people shit on Lindor and shit on Soto and, shit on Alonso when he was here. We don't deserve nice things because of the way some people react to players like Carlos Beltran, who, like you said 2 weeks ago, Ibby, until Juan Soto passes his numbers overall, which he will eventually do, you can still say that Carlos Beltran is the greatest free agent signing in the history of the franchise.
100%.
And even with Soto, he's not going to be worse than 2 for a while.
Yeah. 100%. And it's just, we've said for the longest time, like Lindor was on that Beltran track in terms of disrespect for someone that's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, and Lindor's tracking the same way. And we see the stuff that Lindor has to deal with as well. But it's fantastic for Beltran. I'm so happy. And, I'm just so proud that another Met is going into the Hall of Fame, and it's the right choice in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Kryler over on X saying same thing will happen when Lindor is put in the hall. Certain Mets fans will bring up the thumbs down. 100%.
Losers, Kryler. Losers.
Losers. Ethan saying soon 12 and 22 will be in the hall one day. Not too soon.
That's right.
But
not too soon, but yeah.
It seems accurate. We have Corey saying, isn't it the player's choice? It is not anymore to which hat they want to wear in the Hall of Fame. I think they did away with it when famously the Rays were trying to get Wade Boggs to like they were trying to pay him to go in as a Ray. It used to be the player's choice. Now, and I know this is a nebulous thing that's going to be very hard to pin down, Ibby, but now the official statement from the Hall of Fame is that they take the player's choice into consideration to prevent them from selling off their Hall of Fame plaque, as it were, with the case of Wade Boggs and the Tampa Bay at the time Devil Rays.
Right.
So yeah, I do think it should. I think it should still kind of be up to the player, and I think mostly it is. I just think that they had to do something to kind of legislate that out.
I would agree. With that.
All right. So Ibby, congratulations, Carlos Beltran. We move on. Right. We'll talk more about this when he gets his day at some point during the season. I think this is a great one from Joe DeMeo, as everyone is excited for spring training. I think I brought this up to you last year around this time.
That's why I started.
He said, I can't wait to be at the first spring training game and then basically be ready to skip the rest of the spring training games. There is no more. I think this is the best example in sports this time of year, especially those of you who are in cold weather. And I get it because it was me for 33 years, pining, waiting. Oh my God, I just want to watch something that resembles baseball. I want to break out of the cold. I need this spring training in my life. I'm a little bit different than Joe. I don't think it's the first game, but Ibby, it's no longer than the first week for me, where then that changes immediately. And you're like, can spring training fucking end already? Yeah. Because I am so tired of watching people play made-up baseball games, riding buses between Dunedin and Port St. Lucie. I don't like, I know too many tiny-ass towns in Florida for my own good. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that's proper. And I think once we get that baseball back, we get that routine back, we come home from work, we put it on, whether it's something that's a replay or you get to watch it live, depending on your hours. Like, you love it once it first starts, and then you realize the lineups that are being put out and the players that you're watching. Now, mind you, I don't mind watching the minor league players and seeing names of guys that I read about all the time and seeing them actually on the field. Like, I don't mind it, but there is a limit to it where it's just like, get me to city. Like, let's get the guys back up north. Let's get the real games going. Like, I'm pumped up. Let's go. But I think that this year, for those that actually watch it, they'll be able to quench that thirst, if you will, for baseball with the World Baseball Classic happening this time around. But I think that after that first week and a half, especially for us on the show, where it's just like, how much can we really talk about when it comes to spring training, as opposed to us just hitting on what's going to be happening come opening day and beyond. That kind of pushes us even more, and the chat even more, into wanting baseball to happen. But yeah, after that first week, it's just like, all right, this is fun, but let's just get to actual baseball.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought up the WBC, because I do think that is, when you have a World Baseball Classic year, as this year is going to be, there is definitely, you get real baseball early. And then it's weird because then you lose real baseball and you go back to purely exhibition games and spring training for like a week or two or whatever, and then it closes out in opening day. But at least you get a sense of real baseball, which is why I bring this one up from Kryler over on Twitter again, saying, I was watching the Mexico versus Puerto Rico game last night for the Caribbean series, and I was getting annoyed because it was such sloppy ball. I need MLB and the aforementioned World Baseball Classic. I do watch, sometimes I will tune into the Caribbean series. I'll watch a game here and there when I'm really jonesing for baseball. And I think the problem is sometimes look, obviously, you get major league players that go and play winter ball, whether it's in the Dominican or wherever it might be, Venezuela, right? But a lot of those guys that do play there, you have to remember, are amateurs, and you're getting, you know, depending on the league, you're getting AA quality or whatever the case may be. And if you've ever been to, as Ibby is wearing a minor league baseball hat right now, if you've ever been to a minor league game, you know, they can be some of the most fun and exciting in a lot of ways. But yeah, minor league ball can be a little sloppy because they're pros, but they're not upper echelon pros. So I get it. You know, some of those winter leagues, Ibby, they do scratch the itch, but sometimes you're just like, oh man, I gotta watch. Like, it makes you, I think when I watch them, it makes me really like remember how good the worst Major League Baseball player is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just got done watching, and you can't convince me otherwise. All the highlights of, you know, the former Met Luis Acuna hitting home runs off of guys that are probably plumbers. Like, it's there's levels here. And yeah, just getting back to actual baseball is the end goal of what we all want. And, you know, we're scratching that itch a little bit. We're almost there, inching little by little, but we've made it through the winter for the most part. We can feel spring in the air. We're getting there, and opening day will be here before you know it.
It definitely will. Media Goon saying, when I'm jonesing for baseball, I put on MLB The Show and put both computer players. So basically sim it and let it play out. And then in parentheses, not really. I'm hoping that's not what you do. I know Keith does not have that kind of time on his hands to put on a MLB The Show game, sim it and watch it. I do not think he's doing that. You know, Ibby, I don't want to turn this. It's not a video game show, but a lot of controversy around MLB The Show right now because of the graphics and whatnot. And, you know, some of the things that they're pumping out here in the gameplay trailer for the 2026 version of the game. And I'm really trying to not be an ass here about the weather, but I got to be honest. Like, I used to play MLB The Show religiously. It was a must buy every year for me. I would play it all the time. I played it more in the winter than I did in the summer, especially when I lived in New York, because again, it did scratch like an itch of like, oh man, I would love something baseball right now. And I think now that I've moved out here, in conjunction with the fact the game hasn't changed a lot in 10 years, I don't know when the last time you played it is, but in conjunction with some of that, like, I just look at it now and I'm like, I don't really need to play it because I can go play softball in February. Right? Like, it's not Major League Baseball. It's not the Mets. I don't vicariously live through the game, but like, I can go do it. And then I'm like, I'm good. I can just watch baseball. I don't need to pay for this video game. I don't know if you're really with me on that or whatever, but I thought I'd bring it up.
No, I totally get that because, you know, based off of what you're surrounded by, if you're actually able to get outside and do things, then odds are you're probably going to do that. Me, I haven't played the show in God knows how long. And, you know, for me, I always, you know, when the show really took off, I didn't have at the time it was only on PS3, I think. I didn't have a PS3. I had an Xbox 360.
PlayStation exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time it was a PlayStation exclusive, and then I jumped back with PS4. But I never really, you know, got into the show because I always felt that it was more so like just like the card game or whatever that goes on with that. I don't know how it goes. Like, when you guys, everything that people are like trying to like get players or everything, like, to me, I stopped playing baseball games, you know, with MVP baseball back in the day. That to me, that was the greatest game ever.
The GOAT, Manny Ramirez on the cover.
Yeah, 04 and 05, like, those are the two best games. I missed that. I missed the way that you know, that player, that gameplay engine. I thought that was the best. But yeah, I haven't played the show, but just seeing some of the graphics, I think Keith over at Shea and Sons posted some, and I was following along with him, and I was like, is this from like 2006? Because this looks like from back then. And he's like, no, this is from the new game. I was like, that looks terrible. But again, when you're the only game in town, you can put out anything, people are going to buy it.
Yeah, Keith Blacknick saying, I only buy the game every 2 to 3 years when there's a major change, but saying WWE 2K, that's a different story. And Armand saying Diamond Dynasty is the mode that you were referring to, Ibby.
Yes,
and,
that's one. Yeah.
Carlos Ortiz saying, which I'm sure a lot of people are sharing this sentiment right now, I haven't played video games since Atari. So we will move on from the video game discourse, as it were. Listen, you know, guys, this is it's all part of the fun of having a live show. Renee Metz saying, hey guys, enjoy your show. Talking Mets. Happy for Beltran. Let's go Mets. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Enjoying it. we have Chrissy saying the second the Super Bowl is over, it's baseball season. I concur. I'm not a March Madness guy. I'm not a college basketball guy. And I agree. People kind of get hung up with in between. And honestly, I wish I was a little bit more of a March Madness guy, because I think the people who are into college basketball, whether it's the men or the women or both, you can get through the slog of spring training a little bit better, knowing that is like one of the most popular sporting couple weeks of the year. But I can't do it. I don't like basketball enough. Like I'm not a huge NBA guy, so I certainly can't be a college basketball guy. It's not for me.
No, I used to love college basketball, but as everything changed and people would be, whether it was the transfer portal or people leaving after 1 year, I didn't really get a chance to fall in love with teams anymore because you didn't know anybody. It was all brand new people, and I kind of lost track of it like back in the day. So I wish I had something else to like hold me over, but I agree. Once Super Bowl is over, it's time to go. And I still think that this Super Bowl has not that much juice to it, even though I'm rooting for the Seahawks, but not a lot of juice to it. I just want it to, I want Sunday to come and pass, and then we get into baseball.
Yeah, Gab saying, fuck this garbage-ass Super Bowl. Sorry, I'm still sour for the Bills robbery. I will say this, Ibby, I am, as a Jets fan, again, not practicing, but as a Jets fan, because I'll never be a fan of another team, I am rooting for Sam Darnold. I do.
I agree. You should.
I am rooting. Joe DeMeo, what does John like? Okay. Is that going to be this show? Wow. Okay.
No.
No, I'll rattle off a couple things real fast. I'll rattle off a few things.
John loves hollandaise.
I don't really love hollandaise. Oh man, it'd be going off of the hollandaise sauce that I made that I posted the other day. No, I don't really love hollandaise. I just had to make it. But no, what do I love? No, sincerely, I love baseball. Love the sport of baseball. Love the Mets. I've really grown a new appreciation for watching wrestling again. I think wrestling is real fun. Dumb fun. Chrissy's right. I do love bidets. 100%. Bidet is one of the greatest inventions.
John's battling bidet Twitter, bidet wars for John this week on X. Oh my god!
I'm out there. Yeah, I'm out there taking on challenges on bidet Twitter. I didn't know bidet Twitter.
Oh my god,
existed. But yeah, Chrissy, that's a good one. Media Goon saying Sap likes the QBC. I do indeed like the QBC. Grant saying, "Do you love me?" Yeah, sure. Why not? This is a good one, Ivy. What is this? A Hinge intro? Lazy Mary,
that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That one, Lazy. No, but like for real, I don't know. Whatever. I'm just being an ass at this point. Just you can't see some of the stuff like the memorabilia that I have. The Walking Dead, the Halloween movies, John Wick. Just. There's things. I love plenty of stuff. I do love
Walking Dead.
Oh man, I also have that. I have Lucille. Yeah, it's like I can't reach it without getting up and leaving the camera. But Kryler saying John evidently loves his LA weather. Yes, I do. I do love the LA weather. Anyway, okay. Gab saying one thing I'd love to touch on is how controversial it seems for the Mets to have top tier athletes switch positions. LOL. Ibby, you started this comment off.
I did. Yes.
I think you and I are going to agree on this. It wasn't on our ticker, but as you could tell, like where we're going with this episode, a little bit more free and easy, a little bit more loose, a little bit like let's have some fun. And so if Gab would love to touch on this, I would like to do it, and I'd like to do it sooner rather than later, because nothing else we're going to talk about today is incredibly timely. We can get into everything as we get into it. So you started. I'm just going to give you the floor, man. Like, how do you feel about this narrative being pushed by the media with regards to like, oh my God, people in baseball changing positions? Unheard of.
I think Carson has put it best when he mentions like what Stearns likes to do in terms of putting athletes in positions where they can just be athletic and they can learn and it can pay off, while having guys that are actually proper in the positions up the middle to have that strong defense. And I just think that when it comes down to it, it's because it elicits the reaction that it does from our fan base. Like, this is a very diehard fan base, and they know that if they kick the bee's nest, they poke the bear, whatever it is, that they're going to get what they want. And it's easy because the Mets are always, no matter what, until this team wins, this Mets team, this Mets franchise is always going to be viewed as lesser than, as dumb, as doing something that makes no sense, like, getting the memes of, the Mets off season, and it's just everyone standing at second base, even though, we have seen, information put out there about players that have moved off of second and short and playing first base and being strong defenders, and their defensive runs saved are through the roof. And it's just like, everyone else can do it, but when the Mets do it, it's like, these people are idiots. They don't make any sense. Why aren't they attacking actual position players? And look, I understood that argument more when this team was opting to be cheap and plugging in players in spots just because they didn't want to actually go out and get a good player for that spot. But you can't sit here and tell me that Bo Bichette is not a good ball player. There's a difference when it's like, oh, we have Jeff McNeil. He can play everywhere. It's like, well, why don't you go out there and get this player so he can play his actual position and Jeff McNeil can play his actual position? No. We have Jeff McNeil. He can play everything. So it's like, I just think that they look at this team as lesser than, and until things change in terms of winning, that's never going to be, that's never going to get off of what the media is trying to accomplish, because I said this on day one of this show. They need a jester. They view the Mets as that. And even though the Yankees, again, this isn't a bash at the Yankees or anything, or a Yankee show, but like, the Yankees skirt by with things. And if the Mets do something, it's a lot more front line. Like, this is, oh, look at the Mets. Like, but the Yanks, look at the Mets. It's just like, it's easy because they've been a joke for so long to people that they just assume that when this team does this, this is stupid. Like, they're idiots. Like, just go out there and get normal players at normal positions. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, Harvard boy.
Yeah, look, and the thing that I'll add to the discourse here, and I'll be careful when I say it because there are even two sides to this. If you go back far enough, right, this is not also the Mets trying to figure out where to play Daniel Murphy. Or because they have Daniel Murphy, they need to put, or because they have Ike Davis, they need to put Lucas Duda in the outfield, right? Or because they have Mike Piazza, they have to put Todd Hundley in the outfield. This isn't even that. And that also, at the time, like each one of those relative times, made sense. Like, the Detroit Tigers moved Miguel Cabrera back to third base so that they could sign Prince Fielder. And it didn't work. And then they moved on from Fielder to move Miguel Cabrera back to first base after giving both guys massive free agent contracts. So this idea of like, and it's kind of gone by the wayside, which is why I'm saying it's not even that. But historically, like, opening up a position for another offensive player is not even ridiculous. Right? Like, oh, we have two guys. One of them plays, they both kind of have to play first base. Maybe one could play left field. It's not crazy historically in baseball. And that in and of itself was a thought process that the Mets were doing at the time, that it didn't work, and that's fine, whatever. But that's not even what they're doing here, which is my larger point. Like, Lucas Duda, not an athlete. Like, not an athletic player.
Happy 40th, Lucas. Happy 40th.
Shout out Lucas Duda. Like, Todd Hundley, not an athletic player. Daniel Murphy, probably more athletic than the two of them, but not an athletic player. We're talking about players who all used to be shortstops, not shortstops when they were 17, like Mark Vientos, shortstops in the major leagues as recent as last season. Like, these guys are going to be able to figure it out, man. You're taking them from the most demanding position on a baseball diamond at any level where they've done it. We talked about how the Caribbean World Series or whatever isn't the major leagues. I mean, you're talking about guys, I know they played it in the case of Bichette and Polanco poorly, but they played shortstop at the highest level of baseball in the entire world. Isn't it easier? Not easy. isn't it easier to play third base or first base? Like,
yeah,
what
less
are we
movement.
doing?
Less movement, and like we said before, when you're athletic and you have less ground to cover, that maximizes what you can do at said spot. And I think it was Rosie in the comments before saying how people are ragging on because Stearns preached so much about defense. But if this is his, it comes back to what we as fans think versus what a front office thinks. If they believe that Jorge Polanco and Bo Bichette can succeed at these spots after going out there and preaching these things, then I think you have to take that as they believe that they can go out there and be successful and be better than what they've had at those spots. Otherwise, especially in, based off the market that they're in, I don't think Stearns would do those things because of the place that New York and how meticulous the fan base is and looking at every single facet of every single thing that you do. They're waiting for you to screw up. They're waiting for these things to happen. So I can't bash the guy when it comes to opting for these people at these spots, because clearly he believes that through their processes that they are going to be successful. So I'm going to let it play out.
Yeah, Joe DeMeo with a total sidebar. Lucas Duda would be so rich if he played today. He does have a profile that would be much more rewarded. Even over the relatively short sample size that Lucas Duda did what he did, right? Like, I think Lucas Duda is a bit underappreciated, but then fell off very dramatically. But yes, he would have gotten paid for sure. Let's jump into the comments here. Kryler said, was going to tweet this, but I'll say it here. People need to get rid of the football brain and realize that baseball is more positionally transient like basketball. Again, not for everybody, but there is a lot of movement and a lot of versatility. And Keith, the media goon, says athletes now can make positional moves a lot easier today than 10 years ago. Because
I would agree.
It's valued differently in baseball now. It just is. Like, guys being versatile is something that is, even of your stars, is something you ask for. And I think the beginning of this switch was probably around the Ben Zobrist era, right? Because whenever you said like utility player, that meant like a good little player, not a starter, not a star, could play around the diamond, good guy to have on your bench. But then all of a sudden, Ben Zobrist comes up with the Rays famously, and he's a guy who's getting 500-600 at bats a year, playing second, third, first, shortstop, left field, blah, 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 blah. And he's putting up good offensive numbers. And suddenly being a quote unquote utility player meant something else. I mean, look at the dude that St. Louis just traded, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Brendan Donovan, thank you. I mean, you've got guys like that where it is rewarded, the versatility. I mean, not to the same level, but Chris Taylor made a great career for himself being a regular who moved around the diamond nearly every day, to a little bit of a different extent. Kike Hernandez and, some of these guys do eventually settle into positions, but it doesn't mean that you have to. And you can have your stars even move around a bit more than you could. That's why I do find this narrative to be completely off base and a little bit too Mets for clicks. Honestly, I do think it's a little too, okay, well, the Mets do it, so it's a joke. Like Joshua says here, Mets for clicks is real. Just create the bait and post it, and it's going to bring the impressions.
And Joshua follows it up by saying, the Donovan and Bichette comparison by Jeff Passan the other day was wild. And of course, that sends people into a frenzy. But when you look at the overall stats, like, Bichette is a much, much, much better ball player than Brendan Donovan. And I say that as someone that I respect Brendan Donovan. Like, I think he's a good ball player. I think he fits in, to any team, but as a piece for a team to like mix in, not be a big part of said team. Like, there's a difference. Like, I was talking with Armand about this the other day. It's like the Mets letting Bichette is one thing because he can fit in as your 3-hitter. He can bat behind Juan Soto. He can do damage with runners in scoring position. He can be an offensive, driving force for this team or any team that he is on. Whereas a Brendan Donovan is like, he's a good piece. He's a leadoff hitter. He does good things. He bounces around, like he helps you. But if you would have told me that the Mets had to settle for Brandon Donovan to be like, yeah, I like him as a ball player, but that would have really sapped the overall output for this team in terms of what it could be offensively, in my opinion. And again, no shade at him, good ball player, but I thought that comparison by passing was a little unfair, but it did its job.
Was.
And it did its job because, there was no reason for the Mets to catch a stray there. And, but again, like I said, it accomplished what it was supposed to do, which was to, like I just said before, kick that Mets beehive.
This is a really good one from Paul Revere. The Mets actually had one of the first multi-positional players in Kevin Mitchell, and he did fine playing shortstop, third base, outfield. Today's athletes are just that, athletes. The Kevin Mitchell poll is a really, really, really good one because of how the Mets deployed him in 86 with what was a very crowded, very talented roster. It's a really, really, really good one. Jump back into the comments here. A couple things. Shout out Joe DeMeo, because it's true. We combat these narratives on the Mets pod and Til Mets Do Us part. And yes,
it's true.
He followed it up maybe by saying, Connor had me dying last week when he said people are acting like Polanco has to learn to fly a spaceship and just play first base. Joe, I was listening to that show in the car on my way to make that hollandaise sauce. And I actually laughed out loud, because it wasn't like the joke is fine, right? The comparison, it was the way Connor said it. He was incensed, and he was right to be. I mean, it was just like, are you kidding me? Like, he's still gonna play baseball. He's just gonna play it like, I don't know, 110 feet away from where he's been playing it. What are we doing, dude? He's not going to play cornerback.
Yeah, I just think that it gets lost on people, and I've always said this, and I understand that things get a little bit more difficult as you are doing something for so long. Like when you're a ball player, like you're a ball player. Like when someone asks you, "Hey, where do you play?" "I'll play wherever." Like that's how everyone really starts in this game. And I know it gets more specific as you get older or what have you, and obviously make it to the majors. You're in the majors for a specific spot. If you are willing to work and try new things and to extend your career and work at different spots, then they're going to put in the work and they're going to do everything they can to succeed. Like it's not lost on me. Like a ball player is a ball player. Like they go out there, it's like, I'll play wherever. Just give me the glove and I'll figure it out. That's always been baseball, in my opinion. And I think that gets lost on everyone because they're just like, again, I don't want to say the name. I'll just say, Pete, but whatever. Everyone is just so hung up on that. They can't let it go. They think that that's the only answer at first base, even though he wasn't a great fielder. But they're just going to compare everything that happens at that position this year, offensively and defensively, to what's going on in Baltimore instead of just focusing on what's going on here because they just can't let this player go.
And, I agree with you. And look, I mean, nobody cares about you or my athletic pursuits, right? But I still play softball all the time. And I always grew up, I played a lot of different positions, and now that's what I do. It's like, anybody asks me what position I play, I'm like, anywhere. Put me wherever. I don't care. And for the level that I play at, I'm not comparing myself to a major leaguer. I'm just saying, I agree with you. For the level that you play at, you're like, yeah, I can handle it. Just put me somewhere. It is what it is. And some guys are just like that. And I think that this is kind of a good one from Andrew saying Betts went from center to shortstop. I'll add, in the major leagues, Betts has played second base, shortstop, center field, and right field. And when the Dodgers moved him from a Gold Glove right fielder back into the infield to play shortstop, there was a little bit of scrutiny, Ibby. There was some. I'm not going to say that nobody said it wouldn't work, but the vast majority of people, when you go back and look, they're like, Mookie Betts an athlete. He'll figure it out. And this is a guy who was moving to shortstop. The Mets have guys moving off of shortstop to, again, not easy, but easier, or certainly less demanding positions. And it's like, holy shit, they can't figure it out. Mookie Betts, though, yeah, he's over 30. Let's move him back on the infield, have him play major league shortstop. Totally fine.
And let's not forget that the guy that we just obtained, that being Bo Bichette, never played second base in the major leagues, and he was told, hey, go play second base in the World Series. And he did fine. Like, again, these things, it's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about Polanco. He'll be all right.
Yeah, serious. Like, I think I pulled this up by accident, but sure. Joe DeMeo saying, would you say that you're the softball version of Brett Beatty? No, because I hit
Brett Beatty's better?
right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I hit right-handed. I hit right-handed. So that's a big difference between the two of us. No, just a couple more comments here, just from everybody kind of chiming in. You know, Gab saying, like, you're telling me Polanco can't play first base, and the sarcasm comes through even on the text. Rosie saying, it's funny because the narrative about switching positions is also happening with the Phillies media. They're ridiculing the loser Mets. I mean, that's what they're going to do, but yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Gab also saying, we value the utility man, but we're trying to develop utility. But as we're trying to develop utility men, it's quote unquote patchwork. Like,
right.
Yeah, around the league, it's brilliant. Mets are doing it. Oh my God. What is this? Ethan, a lot of people have said this since, but this is a good point. Zero shot Polanco is worse than Alonso at first base. Don't be too ass out there, and don't kill our pitchers with throws. Ibby, I think there's a good chance that Polanco is better than Alonso at first base. And I'm a guy who has defended the parts of Alonso's defensive game that deserved defending, which were his hands and his footwork around the bag. I think both of those things Alonso was very good at. And in fairness, Polanco is going to have to prove that he is good at those too. But again, when you're used to playing up the middle, I got to imagine you've got pretty decent hands and pretty decent footwork.
Yeah.
And athletically, he's going to be better than Alonso. And his throws should be better. Again, adjusting for angles and, anticipation, leading the pitcher with a throw. I'm not saying it's easy, but he should be, like, if you told me right now, it's guaranteed that Polanco is grades out better defensively, not only than Alonso ever has, but then of Alonso this year, I believe it. I would believe you. Aunt Rivera, Subway to Shay, saying Polanco will be an all-star this season. Put that in the books. I mean, maybe he could.
It's ballsy. I like it, Aunt. I like it.
I just think it's one of those things where, you're looking at the athlete. And I think this is true from Paul. Good teams find a way to get obvious talent on the field somehow. And sometimes that's asking a guy like Bo Bichette, who you said fits the team offensively better than anybody else they could have went and got, especially after Kyle Tucker was no longer an option. And they needed to find a way to get him on the team. And they did, because they needed the offense. Brendan Donovan was not going to be that guy, Ibby. Or just Luis Robert wasn't going to get it done. They needed a legit guy in the middle of the lineup.
Yeah, and I think that, the whole Donovan thing too, like if he came here, he probably would have been the one that was put out in probably left field, assuming that, based off of those reports, that Robert wouldn't have happened then if they ended up getting Donovan. And when it came to bettering the defense, I believe Donovan grades worse, or the worst of all the positions that he plays, in left field. So that wouldn't have really made all that sense either. So again, these guys will figure it out. I'm not worried about it. I think the defense is going to be fine. I think Polanco will be fine at first base. And I look forward to the people having to eat crow on that one too, especially if, the defensive statistics come out during the season that Polanco grades out better than Pete Alonso, which would be very funny.
I agree. People will still try to somehow skew the narrative, right? Because then I know Gab, we're not going to talk about Pete, but Gab had a tongue-in-cheek comment about but how will we replace Pete Alonso's home runs? But that'll be the narrative then. It'll be, look at the home runs Pete's hitting. And Polanco can have a better. Polanco is in a very tough situation, if we're being honest. Not really. Not to the Mets, like the organization. And I don't think to us and fans of our show and people who are savvy enough to see the big picture, whether they loved Pete or not. Mm-hmm. But I think to the casual baseball fan, to the more casual Mets fan, Polanco's in a no-win situation, because you could have a situation here where Polanco is having a better defensive season than Pete. He's having a better overall offensive season than Pete, right? He could have a better batting average, a better weighted runs created plus. He could have a better, runners in scoring position average. Like, he could be doing a lot of things that you're like, damn, Polanco is having a great year. But he's not going to have as many home runs, and he's not going to have as many RBI, more than likely, unless, if he hits fourth all season and Soto's on base and, whatever. But odds are he's going to have less home runs and less RBI, and that'll be the thing people point to immediately.
That's the only thing they're going to point to.
Yep.
That's the only thing they're going to point to, because that's always been the argument for when he was here too. It's like, how are you going to, and it's still the narrative now. How are you going to replace X amount of home runs, X amount of RBIs? That's the only thing that's going to be focused on. And we can look at it where the overall WAR, I'm not saying this is what it's going to be, but like, there is a possibility where the overall WAR for Polanco is higher than Pete's. That we do live in a world where that could potentially happen, but people aren't going to like it because it's still going to come down to those two stats.
Lazy Mary saying, John having AI generated art on his wall makes me laugh. These are posters from the Queens Baseball Convention. That's what they are. They are autographed, given to me personally by Keith Blacknick, the media goon himself, who is the man behind the scenes at the QBC. Who designs them and how they are made, I don't know. I'm not saying they are, to me, they are autographed memorabilia of an event that I love. So, for people, I'm not like people.
Look
are
at
saying
John moving those goalposts. Look at them.
Well, you know what, Ibby? I disagree. Because it is what it is. I mean, you look around. I wish I could show you the other art that I have that is not AI. That I've bought at galleries and stuff, but it is what it is. Anyway, Lazy Mary said John loves AI when he knows that I do not. Anyway, Ibby, there's a lot of ways we could take this conversation next. We do have the break coming up in a little bit, but I think we could have a little bit of a conversation right now about where the Mets are going to go from here. And I think that that's kind of a good segue, because there's at least one open roster spot on this team in terms of like the bench and, where the Mets can go. There's a couple spots in the bullpen, starting rotation's pretty much solid right now. They have too many guys. If that's not really a thing, but you know what I mean? Numbers game, it plays out where there's a lot. But I think what we need to focus on now and kind of in the next segment is, with not a lot of options left, maybe the overview first before we get into specifics after the break. Do you think the Mets will add another player on a major league deal to come in here and like kind of be the bench bat? Or do you think it's, maybe like kind of like the Craig Kimbrell deal where it's we'll get a guy on a flyer, we'll have him compete with Jared Young and Bruhan and some of these other folks? Or is it a guy like, do they give Ty France I don't know what he wants, $2 million on a guaranteed major league deal? Do they sign Isaiah Kiner-Falefa? Like, where do they go with this last bench spot?
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they did do something, just as much as it wouldn't shock me if they just decided to stay in-house. I just see that. I think Kryler just said that, Jared Young fits the billing for that too. Like Ty France is a possibility, but I only think it's a possibility if Mark Vientos is moved. Does a player like Mike Tauchman make sense? Another outfielder? Like, there are ways that this
isn't
team
Tauchman left-handed too?
He is.
Is he a left-handed hitter? Yeah.
So like there are smaller options that you could look at that could potentially fill in, but I think that it might end up just, wanting them to stay within house, the cheap options that they have in house, and then leaving that runway for someone to come up and make a difference, whether that is like a Ryan Clifford type to come up. But I'm not going to rule it out completely, but I'm also not sitting on the edge of my seat thinking that, this team's definitely going to make another move, because there's not much that's out there. And I don't think they're going to be players either. Obviously in terms of like watching the wire, what's out there. There's a lot of pitchers still that are out there. I don't think the Mets are going to be involved with any of those pitchers. I think that there is possibilities when it comes to a trade. I do think that there's still a possibility when it comes to Vientos being moved. And that's really, that to me, that's the piece that would have to go in order for me to open up the idea more that this team can go out there and add something to this bench that's beyond just, the minors at this point, or like a Jared Young type. Like I need that piece to go to then bring forth that flexibility that is not given to you with Vientos, because Vientos is just a DH. I know people are going to say in the comments, well, he could play third, or he could play first. Like, yeah, he could. Should he? No, because I know that the options that we have, you want to question when it comes to their defense. I've seen Mark Vientos' defense. I don't need to see it anymore. I don't want that man touching a glove. And I just think that a lot of the stuff would have to really play off of him not being here. If he remains here and they try to make it work, I don't see them going out and getting somebody else, no matter how small it might be.
No, it's a good point. When you put it that way, I think it's certainly, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion, which is why I painted the way that I did, why I posed the question the way that I did. And I think it's a really good one from Lazy Mary, just saying, I'm fine with the current roster. It piques my interest, and that's all I can ask for, to be honest. Like, I don't think they need to do anything. And I know I don't need to bring up each individual comment. There was comments from Lazy Mary, from Ethan, from a bunch of people, Kryler, like about the Jared Young discourse. I do think, Ibby, Jared Young has a chance to make this team as good of anybody out of spring training, because he can play third, he can play the corner outfield, he can play maybe second, maybe you give him a first base glove, and you kind of move things around that way. The one thing that I think is tricky is, again, that Jared Young is a left-handed bat. I think if Jared Young hit from the right side, he would have the immediate inside track. He's on the 40-man roster. He had a good year last year in the minors. I know a lot of people, like, he's, like kind of an NPC. He's Joe Random. I get that. I'm not saying he's great shakes, but, he's 30 years old. He's not 35. He's had this good year in AAA. He did some stuff. The batting average was ugly at the major league level, but he did hit some home runs. He had some extra base hits. Like, there was under the hood stuff that makes you say, yeah, he could be the last guy on your bench, because that's what we're talking about. And I think that's ultimately what pulled a guy like Austin Hayes out of the possibility for the Mets. Austin Hayes goes to a place in Chicago. It's going to be a bad team, but he's probably going to play a lot.
Yeah.
He's certainly going to play a lot more than he would with the Mets, because I see other people saying no platoon in left field, please. Like, they want to give Carson Benge the runway. And I think the Mets want to give Carson Benge the runway too. Now, I think push comes to shove, they would love to have a right-handed bat that they could have in case Carson Benge isn't great against lefties to start, or even if he's doing well against lefties, they want to have a right-handed bat they could go to in the, against a really tough lefty. But I guess, and this does not excite me, they do have Tyrone Taylor, and Tyrone Taylor is going to get his at-bats as long as he's on the team. So, I do know that there's a little bit of, none of these guys are great. I acknowledge that, guys. None of these guys are great. I get it. Carlos, no to Jared Young, he doesn't hit. But, this is the last guy on the bench. The last guy. They're not going to get a ton of run. They're not going to get a ton of at-bats. Because Stanley, Benge is going to get every chance. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, because there are no guarantees, but Carson Benge is going to get every single possible chance to play left field from the moment the season starts. So, none of these other guys, I guess the way to put this, Ibby, is that whether you like Andujar, Falefa, Connor Falefa,
Mm.
whether you like Jared Young or Kike Hernandez or not, right? Like whatever. I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but they're all kind of the same guy. Now they're not. They do different things. Like,
Right.
Andujar and Connor Falefa are not the same player. I'm not saying that. But what I mean is none of these guys are going to get you excited, and none of them should.
They shouldn't.
And I think that's the best way. Like, yeah. So you might prefer, like, Odd Villain says, give me Kike Hernandez. And to me, that logic, I disagree, but that logic is as good as any of the other ones you could present. For somebody else who says, give me Miguel Andujar, that logic is as good as any. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, good as any. They're all just, and again, they're going to be the last guy on your bench. They're not going to be guys who are getting meaningful at-bats all the time.
And if they are, there's a problem.
And if they are, there is a problem. We could jump into the specifics of some of these guys because I would like to when we come out of the break. We've mentioned them by name. I do have opinions kind of on all of them, as I'm sure you do, as I'm sure everybody in the chat does. So hold on to your thoughts on Kike Hernandez and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Miguel Andujar. I think we could leave the Jared Young discourse in the first half of the show simply because if they don't make an addition, he's a guy who's already on the roster. He's already on the 40-man. He's going to have an inside track. And also, like, we all watched this guy, small sample size, but on the Mets last season, whereas these other guys would be, even if they're marginal upgrades at best, they would be a shiny new toy. So we can talk about the outside additions that they could possibly make coming up here in the second half. If you're watching live, you don't want to sit through a break, don't worry. It is just 30 seconds that we need to reset the show. I'm John. That's Ibby. This is Til Mets Do Us Part. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Yo, just like that, we are back with Til Mets Do Us Part, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Substack, like we are each and every single week. John Saponaro, Matt Ibanez, plus all of you in the chat, and all of you who decide to watch but not chat. And that is all good, whether you're watching us live, whether you're taking part in the conversation, whether you're watching later on, whether you're listening later on. We appreciate however you decide to digest Til Mets Do Us Part. Speaking of, if you missed any of the show, you can go back and watch the replay on our Substack, on our YouTube, on our Twitter. If you have to leave early, you can do the same. And if you can't do any of that, you can certainly listen to the show when it drops later on tonight on your favorite podcast platform. Ibby, before we get back into the conversation, let's hit them with a quick word from our friends over at Independent Safes.
Absolutely, John. IndependentSafes.com. Independent Safes is protecting homes and businesses with secure residential and commercial safes. Fireproof peace of mind in every corner. Visit IndependentSafes.com today for security that stands strong. And it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the week. That is where somebody needs to go into the safe and find out if we are going to be throwing away the key today. Now, I'm struggling a little bit because I am in a good mood in terms of who exactly I want to put into the safe this week. And of course, I will listen to, the chat here as well, to what they feel needs to be in the safe as always. But is there anything that's hitting you at the moment, John, when it comes to someone that needs to go into the safe that pertains to this team at the moment? Because I'm drawing a blank, to be honest.
Okay,
blank.
Chrissy's saying Beltran haters in the damn safe.
Okay, that's a good one. A good one.
Ethan just saying David Peterson in the safe, and we're going to need to elaborate more on that. I will. To which Chrissy says, Ethan in the safe.
To which Lazy Mary says Armand's in the safe.
Armand in the safe.
They're battling because obviously Lazy's a Ranger fan. He hates the fact that Armand is a Penguins fan. So there you go. Some hockey talk right there. Bobby Wall, that's a good one too. That's a good one too.
Here's a good one. Carlos Ortiz, the insurance rule that kept Lindor out of the WBC.
Another good one. Another good one.
That's a good one. Although they might be working this out. I don't know. I know Puerto Rico now has reconfirmed that they're not going to drop out of the WBC. They were. Well,
I saw before that Jose Berrios got clearance, but there's a caveat that he can only go starting in the second round. So he can't go in those opening stage rounds. So if Puerto Rico's there round 2, then he's allowed to play then. If that's going to happen for the rest, that's still not still unknown to people.
Yeah, I mean, we can see how this shakes out, but I do think on the surface right now, that's not a bad one. Chrissy's saying Gab and I have permanent residency in the safe. Mine is I like you. I'm having a hard time finding one that's really got me incensed. So there's one that is, oh my God, dude, Kryler is on it. This is very specific to me, but Kryler says that Marlins account that replied to my MLB ranking that John was fighting too.
Oh, I did see that one.
Okay. That's where I'm going with this. And I know it's a bit personal to me because it was an interaction that I got into specifically, but again, I'm having a hard time finding something that I really am wildly impassioned about other than this. I do think the Beltran haters is a good one, and I do think the insurance rules for the World Baseball Classic are good
solid,
ones. But I want to see, I want to put the Beltran discourse to bed. I wish there weren't Beltran haters. We talked about it in the first half too. And I want to see where the World Baseball Classic stuff goes first. So for me, I'll just say, if you're a Florida Marlins fan, a Miami Marlins fan, who do you think you are? Bro, what? If you're one of the 9 people on planet Earth who roots earnestly for the Miami Marlins, bro, what? Now listen, dude had some good jabs where it was we end your season and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely. But to that, I just say, yeah, it was embarrassing to lose to a franchise as pathetic as the Miami Marlins. It's not better. You know what I mean? You're not helping your own argument by being and we beat you. Even we beat you. Okay. Well, your franchise is horrible. They have the lowest payroll in Major League Baseball. They don't even try. And the comeback was oh man, Mets have the highest payroll, couldn't even get past the Marlins. And I said this, and I mean this, guys. I would rather be a team that tries and fails, and even fails fucking miserably like the Mets did in 2025, Ibby. I would rather that and have Juan Soto and be we're in it, we're trying. Then could you imagine doing what we do, doing this discourse, doing all of this every week, talking to these people and interacting with a community over a team that we know is going to spend the least amount of money in baseball. They're going to fumble every good player they have, and they're going to win 78 fucking games a year. Where is the hubris of this Marlins fan base talking about we beat you? Okay. Some guy was Mets foobarred the Diaz thing, and they lost this, and they moved on from Alonso. I was bro, you had a team that had Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, Marcelo Zuna, and JT Realmuto all at the same time. How'd that work out, bro?
Red hot D Gordon too. D Gordon was good at the time as well. Justin Bohr hit 30 homers.
Bro, so I don't want to hear anything from Marlins fans ever. So shout out to you, Kryler, for bringing that up. That's a good one. For me, that's who's going in the safe.
I got no one this week. I feel bad. I usually have someone. Nothing really bothered me. I don't think.
Wow.
Unless I'm forgetting it. And if it hits me, I'll bring it back. But for now, I got nothing.
Wow, Ibby, nobody. You gotta pick somebody else's. I think you gotta pick somebody else's safe. I think you gotta pick somebody else's. You know, like you got to just do like an honorary and just go.
Should I put my background, my brick that everyone seems to be hating so much, into the safe because everyone says that I'm in a prison cell? You know, what's his name? Odd saying he wants to know my cell block. It's C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is cell block number, son. Game for War said you're at Wrigley Field. Lazy Mary said you kind of look like one of the brothers from Prison Break. I think that's probably a compliment. Then he said that I look like Peter Bendix, which I feel is not a fucking compliment. I don't know what Peter Bendix looks like. I know who he is. I've never seen him. I'm sure it's not great. Just because, you know, that's.
Oh my God. But again, like I'm still in the midst of getting some stuff for the background. It's going to get fixed. But, you know, Ant's in the comments, somebody Shay saying I should just take on the Beltron haters. And, you know, we talked about it in the first half, Ant. And you know, if I have to do something, then, yeah, I'll put them in there to echo what Chrissy was saying before, too. Just, you know, there's no reason, you know, just let it go in terms of hatred towards the guy, what he gave this franchise. You know, I forgot who it was in the comments. It might have been a new commenter saying how only this fan base could have people in it that are angry that a Met is going into the Hall of Fame while you only have 2 Hall of Famers that are donning the cap of your franchise that you deem that you love. Now a third person's going in and you're going to complain about it or question it. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? So for that, I thought that was a great comment. And I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the person who said it, but it was great. And I will agree with that because it's 100% the truth. So in the safe this week for me is the Carlos Beltran haters about his Hall of Fame induction as a New York Met.
You know, I think that's pretty fair. I'm trying to find that commenter so we can give him credit, but I don't know. I'm like just scrolling back like crazy, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. So, but that is good. Like again, the hubris.
So many good comments right now. You got Keith here.
Sorry.
It's okay. I got to put Rita Hayworth, the poster, behind me. Oh, my God. I got to put Beltran's mole behind me. A lot of good comments. A lot of good ones.
Gab saying you could put having to put someone in the safe, which is.
I could do that, too. Yeah, I could do that, too.
Have the concept of having to put someone in the safe. Armand saying Ibby's favorite song, Prison Song by System of a Down. Carson said Ibby's background was built with Julius Randle's playoff performances.
Oh,
Bricks.
my God.
Long way to get to that one, but good enough. Aunt Rivera saying whoever said John was Peter Bendix is the tweet of the day. It was Lazy Mary. Damn, son.
Oh my God.
That puts a wrap on throw away the key. Ibby, back into the discourse here of that final bench piece for the New York Mets. I think we should just spend not a ton of time because, again, none of these guys are with respect to their major league careers. None of these guys need a ton of time. But if we had to pick one from the group of Kike Hernandez, this is if no Mets player is traded. Because the second part of this discourse will be what happens if Mark Vientos is not here. Because I think that opens up not only a larger player pool in terms of who the Mets could add for that final piece, but then maybe there are 2 roster spots. Maybe the Mets could add 2 players that fit this team a bit better than maybe Mark Vientos and his lack of versatility. But if you had to pick one from Kike Hernandez, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Miguel Andujar, where would you go? Different players, all completely different sort of profiles, but they all make sense in their own way.
They all make sense, and I think obviously the best of those options would be Hernandez, but I don't ever see that happening. I think he just waits for the Dodgers to call whenever they're ready, and he's just going to go back. So I don't even think about him as an option, whether that's right or wrong. That's kind of the way that I view it. I would shout out the video that talked about it. I know Keith sent it to me before. I watched it the other day as well. Someone did a great breakdown of regression candidates for this upcoming season based off of their output over last year. And Miguel Andujar was someone that was primed for regression based off of the the results that he put out this year. Again, I would shout out the video, but I can't remember the creator's name. But I am a little bit hesitant on that, and I think he's just mostly dominant against lefties, which again, not saying that that's a problem, but not the all-around type player. And I said this last week. I thought that, and we're taking into account what John said, that this isn't about a player being moved off, but I had said last week that I thought IKF made more sense on this team than Mark Vientos, and I think he still makes sense in terms of Vientos being here because it's adding another versatile player to the to the bench. But of those options, I would choose him as the guy. Will it happen? Who knows? Could it make sense? It could. Do I think it would make more sense if it was a player being moved off? Yes, but to stay within the rules of what was being asked, I still think he would be the one that I would pick, even if I'm not allowed to do anything else and I'm adding from the free agent wire. That'd be the guy that I'd pick.
Yeah, again, none of these guys are sexy. I think. Oh, wow. Breaking news.
Seriously,
Red Sox are closing in on a deal with Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Is that real?
I trust Cotillo too, so
I trust Cotillo and I trust Armand. Lazy Mary, get the fuck out of here, Armand. Really? That was honestly never mind. He is gone. Damn. Lazy Mary. Good thing we didn't put you in the safe, Armand. We need these reports. Okay. Well.
All right. There you go.
So I was going to say, of all those players, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa makes the most sense. Now that is no longer an option, scrub that. Get it out of here.
That's
honestly,
too funny.
The player of the two that are left that makes the most sense is Kike Hernandez, because Kike could play. He graded out defensively well at first base. He plays the corner outfield. You could put him in center field. He hits right-handed. He plays second base. He plays third base. I don't know if he's good enough to play shortstop anymore, but I think you could put him there in a pinch if you needed to. This is a guy who just plays everywhere. He pitched like 5 innings for the Dodgers last year as like their mop-up guy coming in the game, and games you're getting bombed and all this stuff. But here's the thing, Ibby, I agree with you and a lot of other folks that I don't think Kike Hernandez is coming here because I think he just waits for the Dodgers. Yeah. But also, this is not scientific. This is not a baseball thing. I don't think Kike Hernandez would be good anywhere else than the Dodgers. I think he is a guy who just fits a team, and that team just fits the player. And it's just something that works. And it's hard to mess with. We've seen it before on lower levels, but we've also seen it with higher level star players. Remember when Kung Fu Panda went to the Red Sox and he was just horrendous?
Yeah.
And it was just a guy that never had any business leaving the Giants.
He had no business getting that contract either, which was a joke.
Sure. But I just think this is a situation where Kike Hernandez is a Dodger, man, and I just don't think it works. So,
I don't think so either.
When it comes down to it, it's probably Andujar, but Andujar is the guy. You're right. That video was important. I'm worried about him not being good, but also, honestly, Kike Hernandez hasn't had a good offensive season since 2022. Not really. I know he's got some big moments in the playoffs, and his leadership in the big moments, I think would be good for this team. But man, I don't think either guy really works. Maybe Andujar is the better of the two, but honestly, it's a bummer, Ibby, because I think IKF was the guy who made the most sense. And that moments ago, IKF to the Red Sox, so that's gone. So I don't love either guy.
No, it's first of all, it's just hilarious that we talk about something and the news actually breaks about something that we're talking about potentially for this team, and he's going somewhere else. But the timing of that is awesome. And I think Stevie Mac sums up perfectly. In the end, in the end, it doesn't really matter. Nate Lavender's relaxing scent will put batters down to sleep. And I would play the video, guys, but I don't want to get dinged by YouTube because apparently the sound that plays in the background, is copyrighted by somebody. So I would play it, but if you want to hear it, you can hear it on my Twitter account right now. It's there. But yeah, Nate Lavender's back, and it's great to see.
Yeah, look, okay, let's open up the conversation, especially now that IKF is gone, and we both agreed that he was the best fit of all these people. There are some other folks. The Mets have been linked to Ty France, which, speaking about a guy who has not been good offensively in years, we're talking about Ty France. I know he won a Gold Glove at first base last year. I know the Mets don't have a true first baseman on the roster, but a lot of the chat, I think Polanco is going to be fine. I think Brett Beatty can figure it out. I even think that will any of them win a Gold Glove? Probably not, but I don't think you need to win a Gold Glove. I just think you need to be competent and do the little things right. There's also Paul Goldschmidt, who I think probably fits best going back to the Yankees. This is kind of a Kike Hernandez situation where I see him maybe just going back there. But, Ibby, I think to bring in a guy who plays first and only first, I think then you have to move Mark Vientos. And to me, that's not something that I'm really willing to do to open up a roster spot for Paul Goldschmidt or Ty France. See, that's my problem is not that Mark Vientos is some kind of untouchable player. My problem is he's got 4 years of cheap team control left. He's a guy who has hit 32 home runs in a major league season when you count the playoffs. He's a guy who could provide a lot of pop for you, which the Mets might be lacking in some areas as right-handed power, home run power. I'm not giving up on that guy, opening up a roster spot, trading him to the Pirates or whatever, so that I could bring in Ty France to play Gold Glove first base for $2 million. To me, that trade-off is not worth it. So would I trade Mark Vientos? I would. I just don't know what trade is out there that makes it make sense so that you're like, well, we could have Paul Goldschmidt. Like, no.
Yeah, like I said, opening up that trade, the talent that's out there, one could easily say, well, I'd rather take the risk on Vientos as opposed to signing this player, which I would totally understand. I look at it more from I don't see how Mark fits from the lack of versatility standpoint, especially if they want to use the DH as a rotating spot, which means he's not going to get consistent at bats, which then leads to Mark boo-boo face and not getting the playing time that he believes he deserves, and then not finding that consistency and then not being that 30 home run hitter. Because if that's not what you're going to do, man, in the opportunities that you have, then you really have no purpose on this team, which is why I continue to question how this player fits. But you're not wrong when you say if you have control of a player and they do have, at least a tool that people can, want on their team because, they lack power. Like Pittsburgh being interested in a Mark Vientos, I can see it. Do I buy that report? I don't know if I buy the report. Is there an avenue where something could happen? Yes. Is it going to be that great of a return for the Mets? I think probably not, because you're selling low. But I could see where it fits there. But it has to make sense from a, of a standpoint of what are we filling in that spot with? Versatility makes sense to me, but am I going to jump through hoops in order to obtain the players that are available? Probably not, because they're not players that are worth jumping through hoops for. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, I can see why they would like a Ty France. I was talking with Joe DeMayo, before we went on, before we came on before, and I was saying how, like, I can see it. Joe said he didn't really see it because he looked at it as this player had one good defensive year, that being Ty France. He was terrible in 24. He hasn't hit in years. So what really is the point of having a soft hitting, first baseman? Like, there's no point to it. Like, you have to do it. Okay, 1 year deal. So having that happen.
Yeah, I think Ty France hit like 7 home runs last year. Like, that's,
so like, I
before
saw
home runs, something stupid.
like when I heard the report, like, oh, the Mets and Yanks are in on Ty France, like the first thing that popped in my mind was like, oh, maybe they do have traction on getting rid of Vientos to add something to another part of their roster that helps them, like a bullpen arm, like I've been saying. Like if that's the route that they go, because now they're going to bring in someone that's better defensively, more versatile. If they wanted on certain days to move Polanco to DH and have a better fielder, be it for the game or subbing in late or what have you, like switching like that, having said flexibility, like I understood it. But I also understood Joe's point where he was like, look, what is the point of having this player and blocking somebody like a Ryan Clifford then? Like, if you want to go this route, then just bring up Clifford halfway through the year, see if these things work, and then go from there, which provides the runway for your young players, which makes a lot more sense, which I agree with wholeheartedly as well. So I don't think anyone is really worth jumping through hoops for if you're going to deal a Vientos. If I'm dealing him, I would like a piece that makes sense. If I'm dealing him, I would love to live in a world where you're giving something with Vientos to get a solid pitcher from Pittsburgh, which I think they have, that's not named Mitch Keller, because we're not taking on that contract now. It doesn't make sense. So that would be cool. I don't know if I buy this report. Armand said that this guy, tends to blow hot air when it comes to reporting things. So I don't know if I buy it. Could it make sense? Yes. Did I earmark the Pirates as someone that made sense for Vientos or Mauricio early in the offseason? I did. Does it make sense now? I don't know if it does, because I thought it would be for Keller, but the Mets went out and got Peralta, and that makes up for, getting innings and top end stuff as opposed to establishing just the floor. So I don't know where it fits. And odds are, if they move Vientos to a place like Pittsburgh, the return is not going to be anything sexy that Met fans think it's going to be.
Yeah, and I did tweet this out earlier, and I'll just reiterate it here. I'm a guy who on this show and on Twitter for a lot of the offseason advocated for the Mets trying to trade for Mitch Keller, because I thought he did add some floor to this rotation. Now, I think, like you said, you address that when you go out and you get Freddie Peralta, because he addresses floor and ceiling in one fell swoop, as any front of the rotation and innings, as any front of the rotation guy would have done. So I think the need for a guy like Keller is less. Now, look, do I think Keller could still fit on this team? I do. But when I was advocating for trading for Keller, my thought process was, hey, Pittsburgh, you guys need another person in your lineup that fits this criteria. You take Jeff McNeil and you take all his money. We will take Mitch Keller and we'll take all of his money. Obviously, Keller's contract is longer. Keller's making more money, but it gets you off of Jeff, and it changes the dynamic of your team. And it also doesn't put you behind the eight ball needing to go out and find that innings eater, because now you've got a little bit of floor in your rotation. Well, that ship sailed. Jeff McNeil's gone. The Mets went out and they got Freddie Peralta. The other part of it is, when I posed this kind of Mitch Keller deal, it was like, okay, we'll give you, Luis Angel Acuna, who's out of options, but is a young player that you guys could just have and play every day and whatever, and a smaller piece from our minor league system. We'll take on Keller, like a just kind of a throw-in deal. Something like that to me. And I like Vientos. I don't like Beatty, but Vientos and Beatty are not fair value trading wise for Mitch Keller and taking on that contract. And then once you get beyond him, now obviously there are intriguing players that Pittsburgh has, but the problem is Beatty and especially Vientos don't get you the most intriguing players that Pittsburgh has. And then everybody else you don't want, nor would you give up Beatty or Vientos for. So how these teams match up, I don't see. Carson says Vientos would go for a reliever with control, not to Pittsburgh, just in general. And I do agree with that. Maybe that's the kind of deal. Shout out to Ryan Finkelstein over on Locked On Mets. He suggested things like that, like trading him to Colorado for Victor Vodnik, that kind of thing. Guy who throws really hard, who has control, who's, closed some games for the Rockies. Like, okay, it's like flyer for flyer. You don't know if either guy's going to be good. That's a kind of move. The Ty France stuff is what makes Carson think that they see Clifford as a part of their long-time plans. And then this is the other factor. Yes, Vientos has those 4 years of cheap control, but he is out of options. So a decision needs to be made no matter what. We talked about this before. The Mets have guys. They moved on from Acuna, but he's out of options. Vientos is out of options. I think Beatty is either out of options or has one option left. Ronnie Mauricio has one option left. These guys are they got to make a decision on him. And unfortunately for all of them, they have not acquitted themselves to this point as bona fide major leaguers. The closest one is probably Beatty, just because of his perceived upside offensively and the fact that he has proven to be a versatile defensive player, as opposed to, Vientos is all upside offensively, but no defense. And then Acuna was all great defense and probably very little upside. So, Beatty is the most valuable guy because he kind of falls a little bit in the middle, but even he is far from a sure thing at this point. I do agree with Game for War on this. Vientos' 35 plus home run potential is greater than the versatility offered, I will just put in here, by a lesser player. Like, I don't want to move on from Vientos for, I know he's gone now, but IKF. Like, to me, that's an insane swap to make. And I certainly wouldn't move on from Vientos to bring this full circle for a guy who doesn't even offer you versatility. Like, why am I trading Vientos and the home run potential that comes with it to sign Ty France? To me, that's like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even do it for Goldschmidt, who is a shell of his former self. But also, it'd be like, Goldschmidt obliterated left-handed pitching last year. He was so bad against righties, but he was actually like, he was Luis Robert good against lefties. So he's a guy you could put into your lineup as a first base option and a lefty masher. But even for him, I wouldn't make the deal. So, I think none of these guys are unmovable, but I do think that it doesn't really make sense to move Vientos right now. Not from what we're seeing, man. Not for any of the deals that we're talking about.
And again, like I let that report from that person, again, we're taking it with a grain of salt, but it does make sense based off of what Pittsburgh has been trying to obtain this offseason, trying to be in on Kyle Schwarber, trying to be in on, Eugenio Suarez, like that type of profile bat, like Vientos could fit the bill there, and he's cheap and he's under control. Like, there can be something there, but again, I don't know what the return's going to be and what the Mets are trying to accomplish, because like you said, like, it's probably not the smartest of ideas to trade him and opt to get someone that is not going to help you at all and just bank on the defense. Like, you're still creating a spot, if you will, or a hole, if you will, within the bench. So it's like, it's got to make sense, which I think it might be, you have to do something, and then it would bring us back to the beginning of the offseason, where it's like, this trade happens potentially, and then you're like, okay, but what's next? Because nothing really makes sense from the actual trade that happened, because that could end up being for minor leaguers for all we know. I can't stand it when I'm looking at accounts that I shouldn't give credence to and tweet things out, at them to, send more signals towards the tweet. But like, when I see people say like, oh my God, like, should the Mets trade for Bubba Chandler? Like, no, you're not getting Bubba Chandler. Like, he's one of the top end pitching prospects in baseball. You're not getting him. Like, you're not getting, obviously, Paul Skeens. You're not getting anyone on the top end of their farm system either. Like, you have to look smaller. Like, me asking for Braxton Ashcraft is I think a large ask as it is if you're talking about Mark Vientos, because he's a good pitcher. He's young. They were connected to him, as it was, stated in the post. Like, they like him. He can make a ton of sense, but are you getting him straight up for that? No, absolutely not. You have to add something else to it, because, Pittsburgh's not going to do that, regardless if he has years or not. And if it's a player that they're looking for, which clearly based off of the profile they were. But again, like, it's not going to be something that is all that attractive, and it would come down to what is the subsequent move that follows, because the deal itself is not going to, I don't think it would give you any answers if you got rid of him.
I do like this one from Andrew, just kind of giving up. Red Sox sign Kiner, however you spell the rest of his name. which yes, someone has said that in the chat. It's been known, but thank you for saying it. But I just love the giving up. Like, yeah, that guy you're talking about, well, whatever, him. Couple really good comments here from before. Odd Villain saying Ty France fucking blows. Should have been a hooker.
That was a good one. Like, that's why I started, because that was a good one.
That is so funny. Lazy Mary, excuse me, Game for War asking, but John, would you trade Vientos for a bidet though? Right? I would trade Vientos for a bidet. And then Lazy Mary, Mike Janela used socks.
Shout out to Mary for making it onto Janela's post about his latest giveaway, which was actually something that was not used. It was brand new with the tags on it. And he actually included Mary on the post saying, I hope that I get the approval of Lazy Mary because of this not being something that I had previously worn. So I thought that was hysterical. And clearly Lazy Mary is bleeding over into many of the top people's accounts, if you will. So shout out to you, Lazy. It's hilarious.
Did you just yeah, Lazy Mary. I made Janela give something away with tags. And he got the approval. You know, it's funny. I know we talked a lot about at the beginning of the show about my hat, and I said that I got it at a vintage store. I buy a lot of secondhand stuff. I like to shop on like at thrift stores. I love vintage shopping. When I traveled for work, it's something I did a lot. I'd go to spots and see what I could get, like really, really cool stuff. I have a lot of pieces in my wardrobe from vintage places I bought on eBay and resellers and all kinds of stuff. Right. But there is something weird about, like, to Gab's point, like, there's something weird. Like, even for me to be like I'm buying used stuff, there's just something weird about, and I think what got us all, and I don't know, Janela, he's probably a nice enough guy.
Yeah.
I think what got us all, Ibby, is like the one that he gave away that was like stained.
Yeah,
and
that's
I know,
the one where
I know
it's like
that's
the
the
comments
where,
were saying, like, oh, would you get into a fight with an olive oil bottle? Like, what is this? Like, this looks terrible.
To me, like, that's the thing. It's like, yo, it's actually kind of dope if you're not going to use stuff and you get stuff from the team that you know other fans are going to want. Like, yeah, give it away. That's cool. And if it's worn, that's cool. Like, wash it first or whatever. But there's something real weird about, like, maybe don't give away the fucking stained one. Maybe that one you could just throw out.
I agree. I get, for me, like, it's just odd to give away. Like, if I'm wearing, like, if I was giving away a Mets shirt that I wear on the show, and I'm giving, like, that's weird to me. Like, if people want that and they like doing that and the whole get, like, fine, whatever. But like the stuff I give away, like, I'm giving away like autograph things and stuff like that's different. Like, yeah, it's been sitting here, it's been on my wall or whatever. Like, I'll give that away, like to push something or to help something grow. Like, I don't think that's odd. But like, if I was giving away, you know, like, to Lazy's point, something with grease stains on it, like, I think that's really just off-putting and very weird. Very weird.
It's weird. And like, I love that this has become the fucking discourse. First of all, Carson goes, proof that bullying works, I guess. Whoever said violence doesn't solve anything is fucking wrong. And Lazy's saying, that's different. Janela's giving away clothes with grease stains on them. And in all caps, I freaked the fuck out when I saw that. And then that is weirder. To which Gab says he wears all those shirts tucked into high-waisted jeans with a brown belt.
Oh my God.
Which is creating such a visual, which is so funny. And like, listen, that's the one thing I will say. And again, no, I know you guys just like nobody gives a shit, but just whatever. Like, when I'm buying stuff vintage, like sometimes I'll buy stuff that's distressed. Like, I've bought stuff with like tears in it, but like, I will not buy stuff with stains on it. It's like, why are you like, it doesn't work. And like some shit like kind of does, like, if it's like, I wouldn't do it, but like I get people who buy like sort of like work wear, and it's got like signs of work on it, right? Like you buy like a Carhartt jacket and it's got like paint stains on it. You're like, oh, that's the aesthetic. I wouldn't do that. Shout out to you if you want to. But like, yeah, like this oil stain shit was just so wild to me. It's just so weird. Like, yeah, buy the chore coat with the like the rip in the elbow. Fine. Don't buy it with like a blood stain on it.
And and to Lazy's point here, saying, he said what is weirder, Janela, the giveaways or the people who actually want these things. Like that's the way he's putting it. And I remember Lazy in those comments, like the first one underneath, I read his and I was cracking up because it was like, there are literal stains on this. What the hell is wrong with you people? And like the retweets kept on going higher and higher. And I'm just like, who would want this? Who the hell's going? Who wants to wear this? I don't know.
Okay, first of all, GSD crime scene attire is great, but Ibby, you have the opportunity because I can't do it because I picked something, but because you were unsure, I'm going to give you the opportunity to switch if you want right now. Janela's grease stained shirt in the safe.
We'll put it in. I mean, of all the giveaways, a lot of them didn't look all that bad. Still not for me. I
actually thought the one today was dope. I thought the big I also had never seen that before. The big face Mr. Met hoodie was
because the tags were on. That's why.
Well, it was also just it's a shirt I had not seen, but yeah, it was new with tags. So you're like, okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, we'll put the grease stain shirt because that one was really just, I thought, out of place. Like of all the things, like look at what you're giving away. Like that one was just a little bit odd to me. So yes, we're gonna put that one in the safe. We'll lock it up. We'll throw away the key, and this one's getting thrown deep into the ocean because that's where it belongs.
Are you advocating for throwing clothes into the ocean? The oceans are.
God. There we go. Here we go.
I had to do it. Chrissy. Hopefully they're grease stains.
Don't know. But again, I'm sure he's a nice guy. We're just fucking around, but still.
Yeah, no, I know. Whatever. It is fun. Carson, this is a good one. I disagree, Ibby. I want to win it so I can clone Janela with the DNA on the shirt.
Knowing Carson, he would want to clone him.
Everyone's dream.
He would want to clone him so he can go after. He can send the clone after Wally Backman. That's what he wants. That's what he wants the most.
Oh my God, that's so.
I never knew that was him. I never knew that. I was shocked when I found that out.
I guess so. Yeah,
I didn't know that it was him. That was crazy when I found that out.
Yo, honestly, real talk. Like, I'm sorry. This show is going off the rails, kind of in the best way. I hope everybody's having as much fun as I am. Wally Backman is fucking wild for that one, dude. Yeah. How are you gonna like? And listen, because we could all joke. Like again, he's probably a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy. And I actually did.
Yeah, seems fine, harmless. Yeah.
I did. I told this, I think on the show one time, I got chosen by him to do like a game, like an in-between innings game, trivia. I won like a Mets prize pack thing, whatever. He was nice. He was nice enough, and I can relate because I did a version of his job for a long time somewhere else. So, it was cool, whatever. Like he seems fine, but so we could joke, but I don't know how you're Wally like full old man Wally Backman, former major leaguer, going like, where's that fucking kid? Like, dude, let the poor bastard do his job. My God, dude. And honestly, maybe Lazy Mary saying, oh, wait. I'm sorry.
That was hysterical.
Sorry. I pulled up the wrong one, but yeah. That Wally Backman incident single-handedly ruined Janela's chance of becoming an MLB broadcaster. And then my dream is to get chosen for one of those mid-inning giveaways so I can tell Janela that I'm Lazy Mary.
His face, like seeing that on the big screen, like it would just become so sunken. He'd probably turn like ghost white. That'd be hilarious.
You know what you got to do, Lazy, if it ever happens, and Gab is going to try to pull some strings. What you should do is when he like once you're on camera and you can't get away, you can't pull away. At that point, then you just say like something along the lines of like, I noticed the shirt you're wearing looks pretty clean. You know, you hit him with that, and that's how you do the reveal. You know what I mean? You gotta hit him. You gotta hit him when you're already on camera. And because, and I say this as someone who once had a little kid sneeze into my open mouth on camera. There's nothing you can do. You're stuck. You're stuck. Yeah, or that. Like, yeah, you just ask him for his shirt after the cameras start rolling.
Oh my God.
Could you get a Janela sweat stain shirt from the God. Wally Backman interaction?
Oh my God.
Ivy, this is the greatest episode of this show that we've ever done.
Oh my God. Too funny.
I don't care. We've had really great guests on this show. We've had really great moments on this show. This is and maybe there's some immediacy bias here, but this is my favorite show we've ever done. This has gone so far off the rails.
Well, it helped. I mean, things like this happen when there's not a like we have a run sheet to an extent, but there wasn't, like you said before, nothing that was like of substance of like we have to talk about this. And I feel like we covered a majority of the things, but that's what makes these shows fun.
How about this, just to keep us honest? Stanley, where does Beatty play this year?
I think you're going to see him in left for a good portion. I think you'll see him at first base a little bit. I think you'll see him at DH a little bit too. Like I think that those things are going to be. He's going to move around. Like I don't think it's going to be consistent, but I think that he can still do good enough with not being as consistent. Whereas someone like Mark, I think he needs the consistency. Game worn brown belt.
Oh God, fuck! Game worn brown belt is so funny. That is so. I don't know. Okay, God damn it! I don't know how old Janela is, but like he's probably like my age, right? Like our age, whatever.
Probably, yeah. Probably in his mid to late 30s.
He dresses like, you know that like. Is it the insurance commercial where they're like, you buy a house, you start acting like your parents? And there's
those are hilarious.
People like,
all those commercials.
don't do that. Like he dresses like he's 30 years older than he is.
Yeah.
Like tucking that shit into the fucking high-waisted pants and the brown belt cap. You got me, man. You got me with that. Brett Beatty's going to play all around the diamond as we get the baseball discourse in here in between us having a blast. I think he'll get, 500 at bats if he's healthy, just moving around. This is a game for war. Is Mauricio starting in AAA or MLB? He's starting in AAA, to which Odd Villain says Mauricio is on Hinge right now in Syracuse. He's starting in AAA almost 100%.
Yes,
barring
every day,
something
third base. Yeah,
wildly unforeseen. He dresses like a Target model. My God, you guys are killing me, dude. Ibby, this is a good one. It's Mets adjacent. It's not really Mets, but I do think it's a good conversation starter. Armand saying, I need everyone's prediction for Skubal versus the Tigers arbitration hearing, which took place today in Arizona. A decision is expected tomorrow. Who wins? Skubal getting $32 million or the Tigers and $19 million? Your thoughts, Matt Ibanez?
I really have a hard look. Anything happens in these cases. I've seen a couple that have come out so far where the players ended up winning. I don't know if that bodes well or anything, if there's like momentum in that sense. But, this is such a large gap between the two. Like, I always think it's ridiculous when teams go to battle over like $400,000. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, it's not, this is
it's
different.
Not worth the bad, like the bad karma and the bad connection you could have with a player, because these arbitration hearings get messy. Like the team is like, hey, this is why you're not good, basically. And to do that over, you're right, like to haggle over $1 million or 400,000 is, I think, a really bad policy. But this is not that, to your point. Sorry, I just wanted to bring that up. Like, you're basically building the opposite of goodwill with a player when you file over such a small amount of money, but this is a different animal.
And we heard, Corbin Burns was very open about this and how it pissed him off by going through that process. And look, I know that Tarek Skubal is better than Corbin Burns, but at the time, Burns was, a Cy Young caliber type pitcher, one of the better pitchers in the league, obviously prior to getting hurt and his little bit of a downfall. But like, he's hearing what the Brewers were putting him down about, and he was like, this team's got a lot of nerve saying these things, or like trying to insinuate that I cost them in the playoffs, but that was the furthest thing from the truth. Like, what I want to know, why I'm so curious about this entire case, is I would love to hear what Detroit's argument is. Like, that's what I want to go off of. And if they're going to use David Price as their talking point, I have a hard time looking at something from so many years ago when things have changed. Like, the game itself has changed, and you can look and say, oh, like the difference, he pitched more innings, and more innings, he had more strikeouts. Like, I get that to an extent, but the game was different then. So this player putting up these numbers now matters, and that's why it's completely a different animal than what Price's numbers were at 19 million. Like, I don't think that they're comparable. So when I see this, I'm like, I don't see how Skubal loses. I feel like he wins. And what comes after that, how it affects the Tigers, I still don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere. I know people think that, if he wins, that means the Tigers are going to deal him. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think it's more so Tigers have him. Tigers then are saddled with more money on the books than they had planned for or thought they were going to have, and that kind of just handcuffs them in terms of bettering the team in other positions. I don't think that this automatically means, oh, he got his money, he's getting dealt away. Like, I don't see that. I really don't.
I agree with you. I don't think it's an automatic. First of all, one thing at a time. I think Skubal wins. I'll just say that point blank. I'll go into why and pull up some comments for it in a second. I think Skubal will win. I think if he does win, it doesn't mean he's automatically traded, to your point. But I do think, to Carson's point, it's more of a reason for the Tigers to trade him if he does. But
don't you think something like this puts the Tigers in an even more difficult spot to deal him? Because you can ask for whatever you want, but people are going to press you. People were pressing them already by saying what you're asking for is too much. So now, if he comes out at $32 million, correct, if that's what he's going to end up getting, then teams are going to press them even more and say, we know you don't want to pay that bill, but we're not going to give you what you want. And I don't think anyone's going to give you what you want. So
no, they lose.
Settle for less. You lose even more leverage.
They lose. The only leverage the Tigers had is that he is the best pitcher in baseball, which is a lot of leverage. But you lose leverage when you only have 1 year of control left. You lose leverage on the fact that Ibby, you're never going to get fair market value for this deal.
Never.
Those two things are already a hit. Now you tack on a $32 million price tag. First of all, I think only the Mets and only the Dodgers would even entertain it. I know it's late to add that kind of payroll to your team, but I think both teams will show a willingness to do that because of the player and because of the uniqueness of the situation. So now it's a two-team race. Granted, they're two teams with great farm systems and a lot of urgency to potentially get that done. Sure. But yeah, you're right, because you're sitting there, if you're the Mets or the Dodgers, and you're like, we're going to pay him $32 million and there's no guarantee that he stays. So you thought you were going to get Jonah Tong and this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy, 5 pieces before? You thought you were going to get our top 5 prospects? And now we're paying him $32 million. No way. No way. Of course they're going to balk at it for sure. But I do think there's a couple things. Like, Kryler said it was 11 years ago when you compare it to David Price. And I know David Price is the arbitration filing because he's the guy who had the record for the pitcher and blah, 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 blah. Fine. However, to Lazy Mary's point, the guy won back-to-back Cy Youngs. You're going to tell him he doesn't deserve the money? Then, to Kryler's point, if he entered free agency now, he'd be the highest paid pitcher of all time. Also indisputable.
Yep.
Then, to Lazy Mary's point, what was the value of the dollar during the Price deal compared to now, you look at adjusted for inflation and all of this stuff. You look at, to your point from before, where salaries have gone. And it's also just, to me, filing at $19 million. And I know this probably doesn't get factored in. I've never been at an arbitration hearing like this before, so it probably doesn't get factored in. But Ibby, that feels to me like such a bad faith negotiation point if you're the Tigers. In other words, like, you're looking at something that is from 11 years ago that is so different in terms of how salaries are done now. If they would have come in at, like, I think 25 would have been a fair number. But even if they did like something over 20, 22, 23, you're still going to be $10 million off the ask. But now you're like, okay, man, we can talk. It just feels like such a bad faith place to
use a decade old number with price as your marking point, because you think, oh, this was the highest, like, so that's where we're gonna go. It's like, I get that, like, barely, like, but it's still a lazy way to go about it, because it's not, like you said, it's not in good faith. And you know damn well, you knew that going into that hearing or going into that case that they were going to be much higher than that number. For you to come in that low, and how things have changed over the last decade, like, you know you're going to look bad. You know, no matter what, you've already lost, to Carson's point in the comments. For like, the second you file for that number, you've already lost leverage, and you've already lost the public eye. Like, everyone hates you now. A Tigers fan base, baseball in general, is looking at you and laughing, because you knew that you had no shot at, getting any favor thrown your way for that offer, no matter how much you want to put across. Like, this is what David Price got, and this was big then. It's like, it's still big now. It's like, no, a lot has changed, and you're trying to mask that by making it seem like this is normal, and it's not.
And you know what? This is a good point too from Lazy Mary. Like, with all due respect to David Price, who was a very, very, very good pitcher. Who the fuck is David Price that his ARB case holds that value? Price was a really good pitcher over his career. That's it. Look, Price was very good, and the reason why his case holds value is because he has the record. But it really isn't comparable. Like, David Price never came off of back-to-back Cy Youngs. And even at his peak, where David Price was maybe, arguably, questionably among the top blank pitchers in baseball, David Price was never the best pitcher in baseball, which is what Tarek Skubal is. I know some people are going to say Skeens, and that's fine, and you pick and choose whatever, but like, I'm sorry, those are hairs you need to split. Like, wake me up when David Price won back-to-back Cy Youngs and everybody around baseball was like, he's the best pitcher in the sport. Never happened. So it's apples to oranges. I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's bad faith, honestly, the whole way through. Armand saying on Foul Territory, they brought up, this is not Skubal versus the Dodgers, but it's actually the Players Union versus the league. I can
see that too. I can see
this is a microcosm of that. But I will say this, and I don't think it'll happen because it is independent arbiter, but if and this is also part of why it can't happen, if the Tigers were to win this case,
oof,
people are going to cry foul. They are going to scream conspiracy and collusion and all those things. And there will be, I think they'll be right, but being objective, there will be no way to truly refute those feelings. Not really. I don't care about the landmark case of David Price, because again, It's 11 years ago. If it was 2 years ago, now we could start to talk. But
especially when we've been hearing constantly about the comps that they use around the league are always within a 3-year window. Like you can go back as far as 3 years to use something as a comp when you're trying to negotiate things in today's free market or in today's free agency. Like that's what, someone like Boris does. Like you're going to go something off of 10, 11 years ago. I can't do it.
Armand or somebody else can. I don't know the full breadth of this, but there's a status that Scooble has. I don't know if it's the Cy Young or if it's the service time or the combination of both. There's an achievement that Scooble has that not only opens the door for the 3 years, which is the standard arbitration length. You can actually, as the player, you can go all-time salaries for pitchers and all players at that position because of some achievement that Scooble has. And it might be Cy Young, or it might be the fact that it's 2 Cy Youngs. And I apologize for not knowing the exact rule. But yes, in normal arbitration hearings, you can go as far back as 3 years and see ARB cases. But in this particular instance, Boris can actually open up and say, well, look what Jacob deGrom got paid in free agency. Look what this guy got paid in free agency because of the achievement. And again, I hate to be vague, but it blows the doors open. So with that, how in the world would the Tigers win? When you can compare it to salaries that are beyond the scope of what happens in arbitration. There's no chance they can win. Because to Kryler's point, he'd be the highest paid pitcher in the history of baseball right now if he was a free agent. I don't know how they win. I don't know how.
It's going to be fascinating to see the outcome. I think we all feel like it should be one-sided, but again, maybe at some point we'll actually hear what the Tigers' argument was. Maybe it's going to be something that's going to be said, years after the fact when Scooble retires, or who knows, when he talks on shows like that. But I'm very curious as to see what the outcome will be and what the Tiger side really is.
Here we go. Thank you, Armand, who said I kind of answered it. Look up. Scooble being in the last year of arbitration, he can use free agent starting pitcher contracts. Wheeler, Max, Verlander, deGrom. That's what it is. So it's because it's ARB 3, which he says later on. So that's what it was. Because he's in ARB 3, and thank you, Armand, for pulling that up. They can go beyond, and that's what it is. And thank you, because now it's painting a clearer picture in my brain of the thought that I was just flubbing through. Because he's in ARB 3, he doesn't, the agent and Scooble's camp doesn't have to stick exclusively to arbitration cases. They can use free agency cases as well. And at that point, how do you argue? How do you argue knowing that this guy, that back up the truck for him? So that's what it is. And to Carson's point, or billionaires could just stop being cheap, but why do that?
Of course, why do that?
we have to crown a winner. Got a lot of good comments.
A lot of good comments. I laughed at a lot. I don't know, man. Are they still start off over here?
I kept them all start off.
Okay. Man, this is tough. Do you have one that sticks out to you right away?
Honestly, there's one that I unstarred by accident. Let me see if I can get it.
Okay.
It's also there's a little bit of for the sake of variety, but there's one that I just starred that's at the bottom that I think is hilarious. But it's not just up to me.
I didn't see some of these. I'm laughing at these now. Like, I didn't see this one. This is cracking me up right now.
Bring it up. It's fine.
I didn't see Jim Bowden wears a merkin on his. I didn't see that one.
There's a lot of Jim Bowden discourse going off in the chat.
Oh man.
Bowden collects his son's hair when he goes for a haircut, then glues it on. Bowden uses a gardener, not a barber. And then Bowden wears a merkin, which was like kind of the culmination.
That's a good one. I like that.
I will. This is not for the starred comment, but Keith Blacknick spoke. He said the poster on the lower right, which is behind me right here, was created by a graphic designer, and then he used AI filters to enhance it. I don't know who works on. I don't know who makes the posters, but I do know this. Someone does make the posters for the QBC, like an artist does, like a graphic designer does. So anyway, that was that was a sidebar. I wanted to bring that up. I have mine. I thought the two-parter from Odd, Ty France fucking blows should have been a hooker.
That was
really
a good one.
That
one made me laugh.
Really made me laugh out loud. But
that one, same here.
I do the one that I Bowden's hair product Elmer's is good. I mean, listen, if I don't love the idea of splitting the baby on this.
Yeah,
we do pick two different comments for we do pick two different things for the safe.
Oh my god.
Oh, per Will Salmon, there are teams interested in trading for Brett Beatty.
Excuse me.
Will Salmon speaks.
Excuse me.
Y'all better listen.
No.
It doesn't mean that he's going. It doesn't mean he's going anywhere. But I mean, I understand why teams would want to trade for him. I would not look, keeping it 100. I wouldn't give up Brett Beatty for nothing. I just said I wouldn't trade him to the Pirates for a late inning reliever. I think he has value to the Mets. And he has even more value now that Acuna and Jet Williams aren't here. But I would trade Brett Beatty for the right deal. I absolutely would.
It has to be the right deal. I don't want to move him, but I get it.
Kryler saying Will Salmon speaks, the world listens, and then says, "Damn, John, you're my head," because he said it right as I was saying it. So there you go.
Oh no, was that on SNY? Because I didn't see him post it. That's why I was just curious. I didn't see that posted on his X. But either way, I trust you. But and he was on this show saying that he wouldn't be shocked if Brett Beatty was traded. So
he did actually. I know we have to get out here. We're over 2 hours, but that is worth reminding people.
He did mention it. I didn't like it, but he did mention it.
On this show, when we did rapid fire on the team, not on the team, and just said, your gut instinct, not your reporting, but obviously from what you're hearing, what do you think of these players on the team, off the team that were currently on the Mets when he was there? And this is before they made any of their moves. Acuna was still here. Jet was still here, blah, 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 blah. He said Brett Beatty would be on a different team. Will Salmon said that here like
beginning of the offseason. Yeah. More so once it was prior to all the, what was it? It was early December, right? Because it was right before Diaz and Alonso happened.
The only move that had been made at that point, I think, was Nimmo for Simeon.
Yes, that was it. Yes. So
apparently Sleeper Mets tagged Salmon.
Okay. I don't trust Sleeper that much, but okay.
Yeah. To which Gab said Sleeper Mets is garbage rage bait, followed by saying steaming hot provolone garbage water.
It's a classic Gab comment. Always makes you laugh.
So starred comment. What do you want to do?
I mean, that was.
You want to split it? Because I have mine. But I don't know if that one got you the way it got me. I don't think it did.
Well, I mean, is it between one of two people? Is it between Odd and Lazy?
No, not for me.
Oh, you got okay, because I was between those two, so it would be something different.
Really quickly, chat, viewers, 350 of you. Is it cool?
What do we got?
Is it cool if me and Ibby pick different people, or should the crown comment just be one person?
I mean, we did split it once. Did we split it once? One time we did. The numbers right now, the way it went, we had it where Odd won the original. I forgot about that. Carson, Lazy. Then we had a Lazy Keith split. Then we had no winner for a given week. I forgot the reason for that. We didn't have a winner in 1 week. And then Lazy, and then Odd.
Okay.
So that's what we had.
Okay. Do you remember what the split comment was? from Keith? I know I'm putting you on the spot. It's okay if you don't. A lot of people are saying it's fine if we split them. Okay, so Ibby,
that's fine.
Maybe we'll do a different graphic so that you have a thing and I have a thing.
Okay.
But I'm gonna bring up the crown comment graphic.
Okay.
You bring up your crown comment after I do.
Okay. Crown comment. Here we go. We're going with
Ibby lost it.
Oh, I was going first. I thought you were going.
No, you were going.
Oh.
I said you bring up your crown comment. All right, ready?
Oh,
go for it.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go. Oh, wait, hold on.
Okay.
We're not gonna do this for people. Okay.
Looking for the crown comment. All right.
Where to go?
Okay.
Really can't find anything.
Okay. Wow.
Still can't find it.
This is fucking failing.
Do yours first. Do yours.
1979 co-MVP situation has happened before. NL and AL winner. Okay. I like that people are saying that we can pick different ones. Okay, so I'm down. Okay, so I'm gonna pick mine first. Well, if you fucking so is it starred? Did I unstar it?
No, I think I'm just having a hard time seeing things because of this way that it's.
Okay, so I'll do mine. I'll bring up my crown comment. It's a first-time winner for me. It's going to Gab for game-worn brown belt. That is, it's kind of a culmination of some of the things that hit all at once when we were talking about Janela. And honestly, it could have also been the tucking it into the high-waisted jeans with the brown belt, which was funny, but this was the perfect end cap. This was the perfect punctuation to the end of the discourse for me, because we were talking about giveaways. Ibby was talking about giving away game-worn stuff. And Keith Blacknick was in there talking about like how he does giveaways, game-worn player stuff, all this stuff. Game-worn brown belt is such a funny punchline to me. Gab, first time, you're taking it. You're taking the win for me. That was good. That really got me, man.
Okay.
I also, sorry, Ibby. A lot of people are happy, but I think I like that Lazy goes with this. You got to add a crown to your profile pic.
Yes, I love that.
I think you should add a crown to your profile pic. It's like how they do the golden like outline jerseys for the World Series winners and shit. I like it.
So let's see. Where's mine? Where'd it go? Okay.
We're going to see if Ibby can work the technology here.
Still struggling. No, but I like the other one, but I don't think we started. We didn't start, but I will still use the same person. So I'll use this one, even though I liked another one more.
You could bring up their comment, and you could, if you remember the other comment, you could just say it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to here. Let's go with the crowned comment. And the winner that I'm going with was going back to Lazy. Okay, obviously with Jim Banner wears a merkin on his set, but I also like the one he just put out before saying how his, the choice of hairstyle or hair product is Elmer's glue, because I just can't stand that man's hair and it made me crack up. So I'm going to go with that one as my crowned comment. So Lazy gets back on the board, but he's sharing it with Gab. And I think that is a fitting duo for this week. And just a hilarious show overall. Shout out to all you guys, because you made it that much more better. It was that much more fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Kryler, Ibby's struggling because he loves AI too much.
Yeah,
and then Gab said, Ibby getting a comment up on the screen in the safe. I love that. I was like, all right, Ibby, I'm gonna put it up, and then you put your comment up, and he's like just dead quiet. I also can't see him when I put this up. Like, there's a tiny screen. If you guys don't use StreamYard, like there is a screen that we can see each other, like our active cameras at the bottom. But I never look at it because I'm always either looking at the camera trying to address you guys, or I'm looking at Ibby, looking at the comments, looking at the screen, and I'm like, all right, Ibby, go. And he's like, what? That's great. That's great. As pure, like you cannot script that. It was wonderful.
Oh my God.
Gab, she's scouring the internet for a Janela tucked pic. But I think he scrubbed the internet. If you find it,
it's on Wally Backman's wall right now with
tweet
it's on his dartboard
at Til Mets Do Us. Jesus Christ. So funny. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Seriously.
So much fun.
A really fun show. And we actually talked baseball in there while having this much fun. And I challenge you to do that somewhere else. Anyway, I'm John. That's Ibby. This is Til Mets Do Us Part. Over 2 hours, almost 2 1/4. Appreciate all of you. I will be back on Friday. We'll do walk-off whiskey. We'll have some fun doing that. No agenda on it at all, honestly. We'll just have a bit of we'll just see what's going on. We'll be back next week. Maybe there'll be some news we can actually talk about. It was fun to get the IKF stuff that broke during the show. Always a pleasure, ladies and gents. I think is a great way to sign off. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Spring training is coming. Warm weather, I hope, is coming for you guys on the East Coast. All jokes aside,
almost there,
because it's fucking brutal, man. Oh my God, seeing that snow and all that shit, people getting stuck in their parking spaces, gross. Anyway, I'm John. That's Ibby. This is Til Mets Do Us Part. We will see you all next week. Peace.